What's going on, guys? Zone Chaos here, coming to you with a little tutorial for Demon Turf. I know recently a lot of people have been interested in the game and have been learning the speedrun, and online, there aren't too many sources that are readily available with, information on Beebz' moveset, kind of how it all works together, besides an old video I had about the demo of the game, which all that information is very relevant. But I want to make an updated guide, go over, Beebz' moveset, some settings you might want to consider, and then go over the tutorial level. I think I'm getting back into the run myself, so I'll probably be starting guides on all the turfs, but for now this is just a general overview of everything. So, let's get into it. So Beebz' moveset's very versatile. She has a lot of different abilities, a lot of different moves. It's kind of like Mario in Super Mario 64. You just have a lot of tools at your disposal, so the hardest part is kind of learning how all your tools fit and work together. So first, we're going to go over the moveset of Beebz, so her basic moveset that you start very fresh from the game. So, it's a 3D platformer. You have your basic triple jump, so 3 jumps in a row makes a triple jump. An interesting thing about the triple jump is you can do it, you don't have to keep walking forward to do it. You can basically do it in space, like on a very small space, like this trash can, for example. You can do it off that. So if you need to gain kind of some vertical height quickly, that's a great way to do it. And it gets you pretty high. The triple jump is probably the highest form of height that you can get just off of your base moveset. Next, we will go over the side hop. So side hop is when you press one direction and then quickly switch to the other direction. So the side hop is about the equivalent of a double jump, possibly a little higher, depending on if you can stick the apex of your double jump, but very good if in case you need to make tight jumps that you otherwise might need a triple jump for, or even a double jump. Yeah. So an interesting property about the side hop, if I go up here, is you can get different distances on it based on how you press the button. So if you just press that and you kind of hold, you can see I only got really as far as this tree. So that was simple, just tap one direction, tap the other. But if you notice, if you tap and then hold, you go a lot farther. So there are a lot of jumps in the run where you're gonna need more horizontal distance to cover it, and this is a great way to start that horizontal distance compared to if you just, tapped it for a short burst of height or whatever you needed it for. So with that out of the way, next we have Beebz' spin. So the spin is really, your basic combo tool. You'll, spin to kind of line yourself up in place. You can spin and then jump out of the spin to perform a super jump. Very useful ability. But mostly the spin, you'll use to get distance. Another interesting thing about the spin, kind of like the side hop, is if you just jump and then spin, it hovers, you get a nice hover, you get some nice distance. It's a great way to gain horizontal movement. But if you jump and then you tap the spin instead of holding it, you go a lot farther than if you were just to hold it. So kind of think of it as like it has a meter. So you press and then your meter will run out slowly. But compared to something, if you tap, you're not using up your meter as quick, you're buffering everything, and you just go a lot farther. So this is a main tool. You don't even need to use to beat the game normally, but if you find you're having trouble making some gaps, or you think you can reach something but you haven't been able to quite get there yet, this is a great tool for closing gaps and used very much throughout the run. So Beebz' super jump, this is probably our quickest form of movement in her base kit. You just do a spin on the ground and then release. But if you were to do a spin, super jump, and then hold your jump, you do something called a dribble, so kind of like a basketball. So a dribble, you know, it's kind of fun. You can use it to, you know, if you, instead of having to kind of do that, like, you can just, and then up you are. But there's another move you can do if you super jump and then let go of space. I'm playing on keyboard and mouse. We'll talk about some of the differences later, but compared to controller. But if you release the jump button right as you land from a dribble, you do what is called a super dribble. Now, a super dribble is about the height of a double jump. So it's very good, you know, if you're doing a platforming section and you're gonna need some height, you can just do a dribble and get up the platform very easily instead of having to, you know, do a super jump, spin, and then jump after. And what's very interesting about the super dribble is that it allows you to perform wall jumps off of it. I don't believe you get... Okay, so you do get wall jumps, or you can wall jump off of the regular dribble, but most of the time if you're gonna try and, you know, climb a wall, the super dribble is probably the best way to do that. So with that, and then Beebs' wall jumps are very interesting, just to go over this part. It kind of works how in Mario, the same way there. You just press up against one wall, and then you press up against another, and you just go back and forth. There aren't really any good walls in Forktown for me to, I guess like here, to perform this off of, but you get the general idea of the wall jump. But you can only perform wall jumps when you are in Beebs' more, I guess, human-like form. Because if you are in your second jump, your bat form, you're unable to perform any wall jumps. Or basically, once you're in this form, you can't really do any of your movements. So this one is more so just to get vertical height. You don't really ever want to be in the bat if you're trying to get horizontal, because you can't really perform any actions out of it besides, you know, your spin and your turf abilities. So I think that goes almost over everything. One more fact about the spin is that compared to regular falling, sure, you know, the spin will keep you in the air longer, but if you just tap the spin and let go, Beebs will actually fall down faster compared to if she just, you know, normally fell off of a ledge. So if you're looking to get to the ground faster, you know, let's say there's a big hole you need to jump down, or you're performing some action, so instead of, you know, wanting to do that, you just close it. Makes you land faster. You'll probably be doing it on a lot of like shorter platforms just to, you know, reach faster. You can perform more actions out of everything. So with all that, that is basically everything you need to know for Beebs' basic moveset. Let's move on to your turf abilities. So there are 4 turf abilities. In this file here, I only got the first 3 because really the time stop is not an important ability at all to the run. It is, oh, I got stuck. It is only needed for the Turf 4 boss fight. It's the only time you need to use the time stop. But other than that, at least currently, there's not really any major useful uses for it in an 80% run. So we will go over the grappling hook first. The grappling hook is a pretty, not crazy item. It's needed for specific sections because they're just grappling hook panels, but it's pretty straightforward. You lock on something and you grapple. There are uses for it in combat, like you can grapple, like I'll go over here. You can grapple enemies with it, but most, if not every forced encounter with an enemy, it's probably better to just punch, to either charge up a punch or just do rapid jabs. So the grapple does not really have any outside use besides grappling to the hookshot spots or pressing switches. So the next ability I want to go over is probably the most important ability in Beebs' moveset, and that is the wheel. Now, the wheel is a very versatile tool that has a lot of properties. So I guess the first and main one that you can do is, you know, you can go really fast. So, great for if there's a long stretch of land you need to go through, you just turn on your wheel and you go. Now, if you're holding wheel and you let go, you'll go into this kind of skidding animation. Now, the skidding animation is good because it allows you to kind of act out of the wheel. Because, you know, I'm trying to press, you know, spin or anything, you can't really do anything out of it. So if you need to, you know, come to a quick stop, you just do, you skid, you spin, and then you move in the other direction, and you're, you know, totally canceling the momentum there. Now, if you're moving fast, you can go great distances with it, because it carries Beebz' speed. But what you don't want to do is, you'll see here, I'm holding the forward button. Holding forward out of a jump usually kind of kills a lot of your momentum. So what you'll want to do is just keep the stick neutral or just not press W, and you'll notice you kind of go a bit farther. Now, the best use of this, because there's a lot of points in the game where we're going to have to cross very large distances, and what you want to do is something called a super spin. So if you see, compared to everything else, I went so far, I got the out of area screen. So the super spin is just, you are doing your roll, you jump, and then instantly press the spin button. This was a technique found in Demon Turf Neon Splash, the sequel, and in there, because Beebz' whole moveset is just increased speed-wise, you can get a lot of distance with it. But for our purposes, this is definitely the greatest way to get distance. So, and you can even extend it by mashing your spin button. So you can keep the same distance you're getting, so kind of like how you do with a normal spin. If you do that with the super spin, you're going to get a lot of distance as well. And another useful property of the wheel is when used in air, you get a little hop. So there are going to be a lot of times in the run where you might need just a little more height to make a jump. So the wheel is a great way to just quickly get that height that you need. Yeah, like that. So a very good ability of it. If you wheel, also wheeling is the fastest form of falling. So there's Beebz' regular walk off, there's the spin, but the one that takes the cake is, if I can get back up there, is dropping on the wheel. Now, sure, you know, you go up first, but then falling back down is way faster. This is not anything that's really useful in a run, as there's not really any major points where you just won't fall straight down. And also, once you go into the wheel form, you lose all agency until you land or until you die. So if you look, I'm not allowed to do anything. I'm kind of stuck in the wheel form. And one more property, let me go to a level to show this one off. We will go to Tight Ravine here. Is you can do some wall jumping with the wheel. So if you see here, you know, there's these two walls. It's kind of too far apart for us to do any significant wall jumps back and forth. But if you press against a wall and then activate your wheel, you'll be sent flying back. And as you see there, when you get out of the wheel state, you can perform wall jumps. So a very good technique is just using the wheel to perform wall jumps over very large gaps like this, and it makes, you know, the level very trivial. If I'll show you here in the return trip version, because by the time we go back to all the turfs, you usually are going to have all your abilities unlocked, because it also gives us the fastest times. So literally, the return trip version of this level just has you go back and forth. Now if you see here, I'm buffering it with a spin, just because if you are against the wall when you activate the wheel, it doesn't do anything. You have to be specifically going into a wall. And the spin just kind of makes it easier. You're not losing any height by spinning. So, oh, don't want to do that. That's okay. But you get the basic idea of what the wheel's used for. Very good ability. Probably our most versatile one, and one that is used the most during the run. And the last ability I'm going to show off here is the glide ability. Now this is probably where the difference in if you're playing on keyboard and mouse and controller can be felt the greatest. I personally play on keyboard and mouse. There are a lot of runners who have played the game that play on controller, and they're able to do everything, you know, that I can on my keyboard and mouse. There are just some settings you might have to tweak to be able to get that. So to go over the glide's basic ability is, you know, you glide. Very straightforward, very useful for crossing over long gaps. Not the fastest way to cross long gaps. We've discussed that's the super spin, but a very nice, clean way of doing it. Oh, I accidentally let go of the mouse. So some properties of the glide. If you were to, let's say, let me get to a spot that's more conducive to gliding. Yeah, like on top of this roof. One ability of the glide is you can do what's called, I guess, I don't know the official word, but a swoop. So if you initiate glide, you press down, and then you immediately go up, you can do a little swoop, and that gets you more height than when you started your glide. And it also keeps you in air, I guess, for longer, because you're not losing as much height as if you're going straight. So it is very useful for, you know, going great distances that we can't even super jump across and making it. Now another interesting property of the glide that was just discovered more recently is if you're gliding and you tilt your camera and then you hold diagonally, you actually move faster and fall less than if you were to just glide straight. So this also, you know, applies the same to the swooping. If you were to be flying at an angle, you also can't use any abilities once you super jump. You're kind of committed. I don't know if I went over that, but it's very good for very long flights where you just kind of want to have Beebz tilted at an angle and you want to fly. So pretty straightforward. My favorite use of the glide, and probably the one that is most used, is the little cyclone that appears. So when you use the glide on the ground, you get a little dash. You can push enemies with it. Maybe you can't. All right, maybe I was wrong on that then. But when you use the glide on the ground, so this little ground dash isn't really used anywhere. There's nothing they have to do. But when you use the glide on the ground, you create this little cyclone, which acts as kind of a bounce pad. Now, you'll use it, but you can only summon one at a time. You'll see here, yeah, kind of feathers formed around Beebz. That means you have another cyclone ready to use. So you do kind of have to space out when you can have your cyclones out. There's a few times in the run where you will have to, you know, take a second to pause to be able to reset your cyclone. And especially if you use a cyclone facing a wall, you'll kind of instantly go up. Now the cyclone is the best form of getting vertical height. So there'll be a lot of times in the run where we're going to need to cyclone against a wall and then kind of use all of our tools, such as the wheel, to kind of make the jump feasible. And I believe that is all the major properties of all your turf abilities you need to know for the run. There are a few other, you know, fun little things you can know about the abilities, but this is the basic things you'll need to know to start doing your runs and start kind of performing all the hard tricks. Oh, and one last thing now that I just remembered, because this video is more so, you know, off the cuff. I'm explaining as I'm going. You can perform, I didn't do it there, but you can perform wall jumps out of glide, but the timing is really, really tight. So as you saw here, you know, I glide, I let go, but I just kind of bumped into the wall there. So you'll have to let go even earlier to be able to perform like a wall jump off of the glide. So like that. And then see, I didn't get bounced off the wall. I'm able to do a wall jump. I'm not entirely sure on the timing of when you need to let go of the glide. It's more of a feel thing. There's no exact time. Even when I'm going through runs, I'll mess up that timing, which will lead to my death because it's over, you know, a gap or a hole. But other than that, that is all of Beebz's, you know, basic moveset and her turf ability, so what you'll need to know. So now to go over some settings you'll want to consider during your run. So first we'll go to the gameplay settings. So these, if you're going to do a speed run, you'll want to turn off UI prompts and tutorial prompts. So throughout the game, as you're playing, you'll see little signs appear throughout the map that, you know, explain to you how to use your abilities, how to, where to go. Turning off tutorial prompts will completely remove these signs. And I can show you in the tutorial level, this is kind of a big deal. You can add a streamer name. So if you see at the top middle, it says some chaos with a timer. Just a nice little thing you can add. Your total game timer, that would be that that timer at the top. So for any runs submitted on speedrun.com, like any percent or 100%, we will need that time visible, as that is the time we use to, you know, gauge you know, how fast your run was. Thankfully, whenever you are in a loading screen, that timer will stop. So if we go here, you see it's at we'll do at 125. We'll enter the door. Oh, I guess that was not a very good example, but between major loading screens, I guess. Maybe it's because that was an area within, that was somewhere within Forktown. But if you're going between levels or entering different areas, so like right here, so we entered at 151, and then you get into here at 151. So between major loading areas, the timer will turn off. So that's very good to have and needed. And then level timer, just so you can kind of pace how fast you're going through levels. Skip cutscene is a very good thing to have. Instead of having to press escape during major cutscenes, it'll just automatically skip them. Death restart, if you know you're doing PBs on specific levels and you die, you'll just automatically restart. The super dribble alt prompt, so instead of having to let go of your jump button to do it, you will now need to wait. How does it work? I don't even know how the alt prompt works. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm probably tells you if you read it. Turn this on to require. Oh, holding spin. Okay, so instead, so you know, some people will accidentally just still hold the jump button. So if you want to have that off, you will also need to hold the spin button in order to do a super dribble if you want to have more kind of control over everything. So slow walk, you can have that. Manual camera cutaway. So you'll want to turn off this, or you'll want to turn on this manual cutaway. There are times in the game where you will press a switch and then the camera will kind of cut away to where that switch, you know, opened a door or did something specific. So turning this off basically doesn't have you cut away. You can just go to where it is because you know where to go. And that is basically all the these settings. Now controller settings. These are, you know, will vary person by person. But one you're gonna really want to look at, especially, you know, if you play on controller, is these settings, these rollout and glide settings. So you can control the sensitivity on the X and Y axis, so turning left and right and up and down when you're in rollout and when you're in glide. And these are very useful because when you're rolling out, there's going to be a lot of times you need to make really sharp turns. Like pinpoint sharp turns. And turning on your sensitivity, especially on controller, will allow you to do that. And also, with the glide, it'll allow you to drop down even faster. And one more thing about the glide that totally slipped my mind is that when you do this dive, it's basically you flick down, and then once these lines start appearing, you flick back up. So once the kind of white glide lines appear next to Beebz, you flick back up and you get height. But each time you go back down continuously, Beebz will gain, it'll take longer and longer for Beebz to go down and then come back up. So usually you don't want to have to use that for more than 1 or 2. So if you see here, go up, but then it takes even longer and even longer. So those are all the basic settings you'll need for to get a run of Demon Turf going, and the basic moves you'll need. So now let's go and practice the tutorial level a bit. So we're gonna want to start a new game. I choose manual camera because I like being able to control it. Automatic camera, if that's your thing, go for it. But this is kind of one of the main reasons we turn on and off UI prompts. So you see over here, there's nothing, there's no signs. But if we go to gameplay and we turn on tutorial prompts, I think I have to restart the level. Signs will now appear here blocking our way. So just little things like that. It saves you a few seconds now and then, but it really helps overall. So to start the run, usually you'd want to go straight, but you talk to the Demon King here. So first we're going to want to jump over this bush and skip talking to the Demon King. From here, it's a basic, you super dribble over. You super jump. I'm using dribbles here in combination with side hops to get the movement I need. And here, I'm gonna want to activate a super dribble. And you can kind of hear me. I am, spamming my space or my shift button so I can get more distance on my super jumps. Now, during the run, we're going to collect a lot of these cakes. I'll explain them once we get into Fork Down. But cakes are basically needed to skip levels, because there's a system in the game that allows you to skip levels. So we try to collect as many easy cakes as we can throughout our run. So then here, you're going to want to jump over here. There's an invisible wall. Here it's usually unlocked by going up there, and then a slide appears, and you slide all the way down. But unfortunately, we are not able to collect that cake. So, Beebz was stuck, so we're going to want to go up here. And this is kind of, at least the first trick for me that really I had a hard time figuring out. But we're going to jump from this roof all the way to that one. So this kind of puts everything in Beebz's basic moveset to use. The long extended side hops and the extended spins. So we're going to want to do an extended side hop into extended spin, and then super jump over. And then here, you need to collect this cake in order to spawn the platform. We don't need the platform, but we want the cake. And then you get here, if you just hold escape or start, you skip the cutscene, and then you go over. A thing to note is the timer is still going during these end of level screens, so you're gonna want to mash A through them as fast as possible. And then we skip right into Forktown. So when you're in Forktown, you're going to want to use another feature Beebz has, camera. Here's the photography hunt. Since this is a collectathon, there are different quests we can do. Where are they at? Right here. Quest, there's a girl who wants us to take photos, and we get specific rewards for taking photos. Now, usually in the game, you would go into the photo booth to start the quest, but you don't actually need to have started the quest to be able to take photos. So if you see right there, the photo, it says photo hunt. This is one of the photos you need to turn in to get rewards, such as the cakes that we talked about. So, in a regular run, once you complete the tutorial, you'll want to press escape, go to your quest, and then you're going to kind of go through the list and teleport throughout town to save time. So first you'll teleport over here, you'll take a picture of the center of town. Next you're going to want to go to not the underbelly, you're going to want to go to the outskirts. There's a quest to take a picture of this pig pen. And then if you go over here, there's a quest to take a picture of this girl demon, whatever she is. And then you're going to want to go down to the underbelly. You're going to want to find where this house over here, jump another quest to take a picture of this can. And then come in here. This is the demon resistance. So they're the whole reason we're collecting cakes at all. So if you go in here, you can see that we need 4 cakes in order to skip Baby Canyon. So in the game, you need 50 batteries to be able to face the Demon King and finish the run. So buying a level, basically, they get us the battery for the cost of 4 cakes, and we're able to skip that level, and it counts as completed. Now going back to beat a level will get you those cakes back in return. But at least for now, there is no really point in going back to levels you've already bought the battery for. So it's mostly used for very long levels where there's no really feasible skips or kind of there's no way for us to finish it quickly. The nature of the level is just it being long. So after you took a picture of the can and come in here, you're going to want to go to the castle gate. You're going to want to jump back, take a picture of the Demon King there, and then run over here and go into the first turf. So that's kind of every basic thing you need to know about Beebz and her moveset especially, and kind of the start of the game and the tutorial. So if you're interested in learning more about the run, there's the speedrun.com page. You can watch the runs. The official Discord for Fabraz, the team that made this game, that is where we host our official speedrunning Discord as well. Or we have a chat there for Demon Turf, for speedruns, for generals. So if you want to know more or you have any questions, feel free to hop in there. I'm always there chatting with people, always answering questions about the game. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good day. Later.